told me not to. Different, but I won't. If you could. Next to you over here. Is there anybody on? So coming this evening, we have a number of that Dr. John, Dr. They have a valve job. Old cars know about those. It's fine. She came home from the hospital today. I know she's a couple things to let you know. And then Moody's Investment Service, a state or to borrow money to put it in. Moody's gives them to heighten U.S. exposure. The growing of our forecast, we have this will be a growing negative without sufficient strategies. What this means, if they're not doing something, money for a house, for streets, they care about. I thought that was Paul. Here, hold this a little bit so you.
Hello, my name is Paul Zazadny here from Milwaukee. I'm part of 350. Don't remember last year. Last year, in the springtime, March, I was part of a powwow. I do a business called Post Place here at the powwow. And last year, 350 the powwow, they were at the powwow over there. You can't see it very well, but there. Jerry, raise your hand. He was partying at the Twin. He's encouraged about doing this again. Last year it was only $40 for the sponsorship fee, but this year it has raised to $60. For the reason is the increased rate went up to 200 out of one. Now, interested going. It is going to be the festival, but right soon regarding any further questions about
for the regular members in our treasury at this booth, who is putting $60 from our fund into having this booth. Please raise your hand. Okay. Anybody who's not, that looks like at least half. Okay. 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 Something, Mark, I don't know, did you want to? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mary. Beauty before age.
Yeah, it sounds sponsoring along with WILF Women. It's at a Milwaukee, 2 hours long. So you're in politics, and he knows the president campaign for 15, 20 eligible. I will go.
Okay. And
in a national organizing 350 in the, if you have respond in a day or two, that
this issue of global warming, obviously, the guy who really seems to know a lot about it is Dr. Joe. Thank you. And Geological Sciences.
And during my presentation, it's the replacement here in my right knee, so. Dedicate this presentation. Julie is such a pillar in this community. So many great positive causes, and she's done one-time meteor is a member of the AMS, and he still subscribes to the Geological Society, BAMS, very generous. And so I want to recognize Philip as a dear well, about a month, as you know, following seriously affecting the agriculture, not only for the state of California, agriculture prices and jobs and about that. Western North America. It wouldn't. All of Western America has experienced wildfires over the past few days. Reporting that the fire season. Now that's huge. Julie, this title stated that I could summarize that very quickly. 16 national through this. The average temperature in the United States has risen in the data. This CO2 gas effective in the combustion of fossil fuel. Opposite direction right now. For the last 2 centuries since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and of course it's increased exponentially. CO2 in the atmosphere. Latest monthly data dioxide in the atmosphere, which is measured, has broken through the 400 parts per million. In some years, significant landmark paper, 50 parts per million. Climate stability that we've been used to increased 100 parts per increasing. Not only is it trapping more heat from moving in the oceans when CO2 is going down. Kevin Trenberth, his quote, he's respected would be the warm conditions. Did I go too natural subsurface sequestration, coal, oil, and natural gas, to accumulations in the atmosphere and hydrosphere, the many impacts of dramatic, to say the least. This is a real magnificent tropical storm photograph. Maximum sustained winds of 160 before it went north. The surface temperature of the ocean, the SSTs as they call them, surprised in recent years, and temperature. This is a recent report in the tax reform bill. And some heavy-duty tropical can expect more. Ranges are much greater. A few years ago, they China, but they're in climate disaster events dollars in the United States. The flooding dollars in damage of these. Here's the 2017 billion-dollar event rains down there along the South Hansen. At the end of October in the sea, I was chastising attention to many scientists. He is most passionate of all the climate scientists in the world. I think Jim Hansen has had the more. He's a responsible scientist. Human threatens to bring about some of the change effects. In the hemisphere, people of color. Population lives in Asia. Current and future activity has a moral dimension. Going to Antarctica a few years ago, I made this comment, and some guy said, well, I guess that makes me immoral. And somebody next to him said, no, amoral. And this turns out a guy from Spring, Texas, just north of Houston, to say that he doesn't subscribe of a lot of these people. Need legislation and regulation. In fact, fashion for it was getting along fine in China, fine, and we must control it. Climate science. Now, this guy became very well known a couple of years ago, and he was in court on the Flint, Michigan water. Team working under Dr. Mark Edwards, and you'll see the point of this in just a moment. An engineering professor at Virginia, that's what Professor Edwards comments. Evidence from lead in water at the very, very latest of this just as well. We're kowtowing to the fossil fuel industry, the most profitable industry in the history of civilization. The fossil fuel industry is running our government. Why is it that ExxonMobil, just to put in an aside areas, why is it that they own our... Yeah, well, it's... We're approaching warming, and There is a danger of stop large decades ahead. Inertia in our energy systems implies that it takes decades of opposition. Well, come on. Combination return. That's what some people refer to as tipping points. That's when these processes become uncontrollable or irreversible. Such that we hand young people a climate system with great consequences, including the potential for large sea level rise and shutdown of the oceans, overturning circulations. Consequences that could be locked in soon if we do not reduce. Climate scientists like Earth are back on the problem when it's becoming. This is from this is 1992 at the Earth Summit down in Rio de Janeiro, when the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change was formed, and they've been having annual meetings every year. The famous one 2 years ago in Paris, which Eileen and I attended, was called COP21, Conference of the Parties number 21. They've had 22 and 23 this year in Bonn, Germany. I'll refer to that a little bit later on. But in the original charter of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, it states the purpose is to achieve, in accordance with relevant provisions of the convention, stabilization of greenhouse dangerous anthropogenic. Here's at the U, their own organization under the leadership change. Even 17th in California, legislates California. Now that's if we can get the whole world to do that. At the U.S. here at COP23 in Bonn, this is after we withdrew officially, according to President Trump. That's the name they've co-chairs Michael, the new report. America's pledge says with this idiot. Nobody called him an idiot. It's packed at the negotiating table. The launch of the EPA, who was nothing more than a shill for the here's the America. Bloomberg is second from the left in the front row, and I apologize, I don't know the other participants. Go online and find America's Pledge and sign up. North American back in December 23 in Bonn, Germany. More than 50 mayors worked with him at grades. Chicago Climate Charter. Rahm Emanuel Show. He's the mayor of Chicago. Called it the Rahm Emanuel Show. This is a major of you to look it up and find out. Entrepreneurs, singers, musicians, mathematicians, and the whole world, because Jerry Brown. Hey, I'm going to put this in where they come in one at a time. I apologize. Up to the next will be censored. Because of changing climates, the Defense Department listed threat in its two national monuments. Allow drilling outrageous or be responsible. Allow drilling in Anwar auction proposed by and he doesn't politically angry. You can't. It's the values. It gets down to value back. And the Republican climate change website in Wisconsin from 2 gallons of oil. It's on fire. They're afraid of Alaska. This is going on right now. The place after that of huge disasters, rather than adding to them. So we had the scientists march on. To change staffers were reassigned. Names reopened to list a horror. Time there. The United States don't recognize in this country. He was a Republican. Serve all resources. Why don't the recognize their? You got that right. 1972 Montreal Protocol. The countries of the world came together to address the ozone depletion problem and came up with a solution banning the the production of those CFCs which destroyed the ozone, to show that and can be brought under control. International challenge. What is politicians can ignore, scientists must not. And Al Franken. Governor, I mean apportionment. And unless we take, every 10 years you get an opportunity for big time, absolutely crucial. Human beings, we've got to work together on this. Not bicker over slight differences. Lloyd Wright with the cane in the hand. My folks, and some of you may have heard high collar and a mane of gray hair and a cane. And he looked much like this. And he turned to Gary. He says, "It is tradition." Looked like really exaggerated. And not so.
I have two comments. I went to a forum stated that every is we're out of date. We should be 450. We should have a press conference and announce it and the rationale as to why we've gone up to 450 instead of 350 and get lots of publicity with all of George's points in it. So that's all. Thanks.
Get in touch with Bill McKibben and suggest that name change.
One of the things
Is that weather. That as the climatic condition, to say that it has no connection, like in a line for line event, but all weather 30 years ago. No, I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. If we're in the atmosphere, then, well, that's, why do you think we have all these huge flooding